Guys, I have to say I'm really excited because it is injection day. Yes, I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all.
Hey guys, welcome back to Slow and Steady with Andi. I'm Andi. It's injection day, so I'm doing my Mounjaro shot and swapping out my Dexcom CGM sensor. I thought I would take you through that process as well. And while I do that, we'll just chat a little bit and I'll just share a little bit of my real life experience about how I think this has really helped me to stay on track and why I think it might be useful even if you're not diabetic. So the first thing I'm going to do is to do my injection. I'm not going to go into like real step-by-step detail because I did a video a couple of videos ago. I will link it up above. Showing you just really step-by-step how I go through the process to do my injection. It's going to be a little bit tricky today because if you did watch the video with my injection routine tutorial type of thing, I explain a little bit why I do not do injections in my stomach, my abdomen area anymore. I have been sticking mainly to my thighs, and I do switch it out to the back of my arm. Now, they advise you in the directions that come with the box that if you're going to use the back of your arm for your injection site, to have somebody else do it. And I have been having my hubby do it, but he is at work and I've done my thighs for I think 3 or 4 weeks in a row now. So I just want to change it out because I don't know if it's just placebo or what it is. But in my experience, ever since I stopped injecting in my abdomen and going back and forth between thigh and my arm, that is when I started losing the weight. And that is when, I don't know, that is just when I feel like everything just started to work for me. I don't know. Again, this is just my experience. Little disclaimer before we move forward with all of this. I am not a doctor. I'm not a health professional. I am just an overweight person who is type 2 diabetic and started Mounjaro. This is the beginning, or actually I'm in my 5th month. I'm on the 5 milligram. Another thing is, you guys, I'm nervous because next week I see my doctor for like my 3-month checkup. I have been, no, 4 months. I don't know, you guys, whatever. But I have been on the 5 milligram since the beginning of July. And I feel like I am ready to go up to 7.5. But I'm nervous that she's going to see that my A1C levels have been really good. I have been maintaining my A1C at 5.7 to 5.8. If you're not familiar with what an A1C is, or it's related to type 2 diabetes, and that's an indication of whether my blood glucose is staying really elevated or if the medication is helping me maintain good levels. And 5.7, 5.8 is pretty much like pre-diabetic levels. So I'm afraid that because of that, she's not going to want to raise it. But I feel like I've lost a lot of the appetite suppression. And let's see, while I talk, I should be like doing something. So I'm going to get my alcohol wipe out. So what was I just saying? Oh, menopause brain, you guys, it's real. Yeah, okay. So for me, I feel like now that I've been on the 5 for 4 months, that I have lost a lot of the appetite suppression and I want it back. I want it back big time. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Have any of you guys ever been told no, that you can't titrate up? I don't know. I'm like really nervous. Okay. I'm a little nervous about this too. Like I said, usually hubby's here. So as long as I can keep it straight. And I was practicing this. See how I got all my jiggly fat here? I thought I'm going to try to do it while the fat's kind of hanging down to hopefully make it hurt less, because it does sting. It does sting on the arm. All right, so I'm going to take off the cap here. And because it's too hard for me to hold this and unlock it, which freaks me out too, because I don't want to screw this up. Oh my gosh, you guys. Okay. Is that the back of my arm? All right, I guess that's the back of my arm. I know it doesn't look like it, but what you're seeing in front of the camera right here, like this, that's really under my arm. That's not the back of my arm. All right. Hurts. All right, it's done. A little bit of blood. A little tiny bit of blood right there, but okay, that's done. Gosh, that can be like so stressful. Just make sure I put my cap back on there. All right, so the next part that we're going to do is the Dexcom sensor. And here's my old one, or the one that's expired. I think it expires in like 30 minutes. So I'm just going to keep it there just so I know where to put the next one, because this is another thing where you want to move it around. I do keep it on my right arm because I tend to sleep on my left side. And with the CGM sensors, if you like sleep and kind of squish it down, you can sometimes get false readings. So I keep it on this side because it's just the side that I'm least likely to bump into stuff or snag it on something. I also make sure I use the overpatches to help keep it down. I'll also show you another step I take to help keep it down. But anyways, so I'm going to take that off after I put the new one on. So I'm just going to get my box open here. And with the Dexcom sensors, they do give you like a little overpatch, which I have used them, but I tend to like the colorful kind. I just do. So the sensor is inside of this thing here. I'm just going to go into the app. Before I click that, I want to go ahead and prep my arm and get the sensor actually on my arm. I don't want to turn it on, or I don't want to scan it to start my sensor until it's actually on my arm. So a couple of things that I find are total necessities for wearing a CGM are these skin tack wipes. I get these off Amazon, and I'll put a link below if you wear these CGMs and you've never tried these and you've had issues with them coming off, popping off, or whatever. These things are amazing. And I also need another alcohol wipe. And I'll just go ahead and kind of show you. I do have an Amazon storefront. Just so you know, anything I'm showing you, you can find in the storefront. And if you did go there and purchase something, I would get a small percentage or something like that of what you bought. But I like sharing it that way, because not necessarily so you're going to go and buy it from Amazon, because there are some things that you can get cheaper at other places. But I don't know about you. I tend to, if I know there's something I want to buy, I always start at Amazon and look at the reviews, check the prices, and then I start comparing it. So I just feel like it's an easy place for me to show you some of the things I'm using if you're interested. So just this case here alone, it's my little diabetic toolkit. And when I open up the one side, I keep my, so this is for my actual blood glucose monitor. I do keep an actual blood glucose monitor handy because especially when I'm putting on a new sensor, I want to check and make sure that the readings from the sensor are accurate. And if I find that they are way off from the blood glucose readings, which are very accurate, then I can use the app to set a calibration to help get my sensor in sync with my readings. I love this little case. Inside of it, I also have my little individual safety lancets, and I keep my alcohol wipes. And then on the other side of it, I keep some extra Overpatches in case this one got wet or too wet or something happened. I just like keeping them on hand. And I keep an extra skin tack in here. And I also have my glucose tablets in case my blood sugar is going really low and quickly. I can take some of the glucose tablets. But okay, so I'm going to go, I think I'm going to go for right about here. Okay. And then the next part, I'm going to take my skin tack wipe. And so there's a trick to this because this stuff, you guys, is it gets very, very sticky. So in order for me not to just get annoyingly sticky and last like that for hours, when I tear it, I make sure that I stay away from the actual I make sure I stay away from the actual pad that's in there and just kind of open it like that so it's popped up, and then I hold it so I'm never actually touching this. And the other trick with this is you're going to wipe it on just like an alcohol pad, but you want to wait about 10 to 15 seconds, and that's when it'll get like really sticky. So I'm just going to go over that. And now I'm going to open up the case that my sensor is in, and the sensor is inside of there. And I'm just going to hold it over my arm. And then there's a button right here. Push the button. Okay, so now it's on my arm. And I'm going to hold it down gently for about 10 seconds. And then just press a little bit around that just to make sure it's on there pretty good. And then I'm going to take, this is also something that I got off Amazon. These are Vestiger adhesive patches. They're waterproof. I have tried probably 4 or 5 different brands off Amazon, and this is my second time buying this one because of all the ones I've tried. This one is my favorite. So like I said, it is linked. And the way these work are you take off the middle sticker, and it's kind of, Dexcoms are kind of like an egg shape. If you have a Libre 3, what's it called? Freestyle Libre 3, there's different patches for those and they're more round, but this is kind of an egg shape. So I'm just going to try get this laid down correctly. Okay. Push it down. This is always a little tricky. Okay. And then, ugh. There we go. So now we can go on to the next part and just get this activated. Okay, so now I'm just going to go back to the app and click that. And we want to scan the back of the case. New sensor is inserted. And it says it's searching for the sensor. So hopefully, there we go. It's trying to pair with my watch. And now it's paired and it's going to go through a 22-minute warm-up phase. So that is that for the sensor. So just a quick little talk about these CGM sensors. If you don't know, they're continuous glucose monitors. And the Dexcom and the Freestyle, you have to have a prescription in order to get them. My doctor prescribed to me the Freestyle Libre 3s. This is before I actually found out I was diabetic. I was still in the pre-diabetic stage. So she thought it was a good idea for me to just try them out and just to get an idea of what my blood glucose is doing throughout the day. Because when people think of your sugar going up, your insulin levels going up, they always think that it's food, but there's other things that change the levels of your blood glucose. Like, for example, if I go for a walk, I have got to look and make sure if I see that my blood glucose is at like in the 80s, I need to make sure that I have something, my glucose tablets or something with sugar. It needs to be straight sugar. So not chocolate. Chocolate's bad because it has fat and it actually slows down your sugar from spiking. When you are going into levels where your blood sugar is too low and you need it to go back up, you need to have things like orange juice, pop, sweethearts, which basically the glucose tablets are like big sweethearts. But so if I don't make sure that my blood glucose doesn't go down below 70, that's when I can start to feel dizzy or kind of spacey. I have learned now since wearing the monitor how to tell if I am going too low. I don't typically feel much difference if I see that I'm going high. I really don't go too high anymore. Before I started Mounjaro, I was hitting levels that were like in the mid 200s, which is not good. But since starting Mounjaro, I have stayed totally within, well, I have stayed pretty much in range. From my range is 70 to 180. Once in a while, my blood glucose does go too low. It'll start dropping like in the 60s. I think I've only had one time where it dropped in the 50s, but if I start to see that it's going in the 70s and it's dropping down like quickly, which the app will show you in different ways with different arrows, if your blood glucose is rising quickly or lowering quickly, But anyways, I always have to keep something on hand with me because either exercising or not exercising or not moving will either lower or raise your blood glucose. So if I were to eat a meal that was kind of carb heavy and I didn't take a walk afterward or have movement, go work in my garden or do something with movement, my blood glucose will spike up big time. If I notice that it's spiking up and I'm like, okay, I'm hitting the 160s, even though it's not past my range, I have that arrow on the app that's showing that it's kind of spiking up quickly. I will go for a walk just to stop it, to bring it back down on its own. I guess while I'm standing here talking, I'll brush my hair too before it gets all knotted. So I've really learned a lot with not just how different food impacts my blood glucose, but everything. So I feel like even if you're not diabetic, if you tend to, maybe you're pre-diabetic or you know that you're insulin resistant, and typically if we carry our weight around our belly, we're most likely in the category of insulin resistant. So if you are in that area, you can ask your doctor to write you a prescription. Now for me, the Libre was not covered for a 1 month supply, which is 2 sensors. It was $75, and that was with some like express coupons. So if you're not diabetic and your insurance won't cover it because you're not diabetic, I feel like it's still worth it if you can to just get the 2 Libres for 1 month and just to get a feel for the things you're eating, your movement, your daily habits. 30 days would be a pretty good amount of time to at least have some data that could help you in the future. Also, you can see if your doctor's office has any samples. My doctor's office carried samples of the Libre 3s, so they did give me a freebie one time. Now, I ended up switching to Dexcom because I found out, I was very new to this when in June or in May, I found out I was like actually type 2 diabetic. I just really didn't know what my insurance was going to cover, not cover. I knew nothing about CGMs. So when they gave me the prescription for the Libre, I didn't know anything to look into, like what other brands are out there. But as I just started watching more people on YouTube with type 2 diabetes or diabetes and learning about the different sensors, I called my insurance and found out that they covered the Dexcom, and I get a 3-month supply of the Dexcom for $100. So it was a no-brainer to me to go with the Dexcom, and I am so happy I did because I personally feel like the Dexcom works so much better. I had a lot of false readings when I was on the Libre, and they usually happened in the middle of the freaking night. So I would get like alarm alerts in the middle of the night telling me that my blood glucose had dropped. And I mean, it was really annoying because what happens is if the sensor tells me that my blood glucose has dropped, I will immediately check it with the actual blood glucose monitor to make sure that's accurate, because I don't want to take glucose tablets or eat like a bunch of sugar if I really don't need to, if that makes sense. So middle of the night, alarms going off. I'm like half asleep, like poking my finger, dropping my test strip in bed, and like just not happy about it. Just to find out it was inaccurate. It drove me crazy. With the Dexcom G7, I have not had that issue. It has been very accurate. The only time it's maybe off is, like I was saying, like once this warms up in like 15 more minutes and starts giving me reading, I'm going to poke my finger and check with my actual blood glucose monitor just to compare. But usually within like 6 to 12 hours, it starts giving me very, very accurate readings. So I have really been happy with it. I've also been happy with their customer service, because I've had one time where, for whatever reason, I put the sensor on and it just would not connect. It was like crazy. And the app told me, take it off, put a different one on. This one's not working, basically. So that was kind of weird. And I contacted them and they sent me a new one. No problem. It was a very easy process to do. But like I was saying, I'm just throwing it out there. You may want to look into it if you're just feeling like you want a little more data about what your blood glucose and levels, how that may be impacting your ability to lose weight, because insulin resistant, that is just like, it makes it very, very difficult to lose weight. So I do think that the combination of Mounjaro and being able to better monitor and make sure my blood glucose levels stayed within better ranges, I think that is when I truly started to see the weight loss happening. So I really hope that this was interesting to you. I feel like this was probably super boring, but this is real life. I'm not here trying to do the type of channel that is like a news broadcast of Mounjaro information. There are plenty of those channels out there doing that. So I will go watch those and you can go watch those. This is just me living, my real life experience as somebody being on Mounjaro and also being a type 2 diabetic, and just wanting to share things that I'm going through, things I'm using that I find help me just make this process more efficient and, I guess, in some ways enjoyable. I call my Dexcom, I call it Dexy, my Dexy. It's like my little buddy. I don't think I would feel right if I ever stopped using a CGM and having that ability to just, well, if you have an iPhone and an Apple Watch, you can actually link it to the watch, which I really love that feature. But I find the information it gives me just really useful, and I love my Dexy. I'm hoping that I am going to be picked to be a Dexcom warrior. That would be exciting to me. The little things in life, right? Woohoo, Dexcom warrior. We'll see. I'm waiting to hear from them. All right, and the last thing I'm going to do is just take off the old sensor. Kills right off. Sure, that sounded great. All right, so that is it for today. Injection is done. Sensor is on. We are ready. We are strong. We are geared up for the next week. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I hope you found this interesting. If you do like this kind of content, please subscribe. Give the video 2 thumbs up. Or no, you can only do 1 thumbs up, but you know what I mean. Definitely comment down below because I love hearing from you guys. If you are on a CGM monitor, definitely share that with me. So until next time, you guys, remember that slow and steady wins the race.
Seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago. I've changed for the better this time. I thought I would never be fine. I strive just to say I'm alright, and for the first time in a long time I'm alright. I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are